Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the channel. My name is Patrick. Today we're taking a look at the Buffalo Classic USB Gamepad. This is the SNES version. They make a whole bunch of different USB gamepads. I just did a review on the Razer Orochi. It's a mobile gaming mouse if you want to take a look at that. Also did a review on the Logitech G700S. If you want to go take that out, that's the mouse I'll be using in and out of the video here today. So let's unbox this. I can't read most of it because a lot of it's in a language I can't read, but it's by a company called Buffalo, or iBuffalo. On Amazon, where I purchased this, the company's just Buffalo. And they make a lot of gamepads, and they're really the trusted name for USB gamepads if you're into emulation or other things like that. The computer can do a lot of amazing emulation things, and I'm sure that's why you're watching your video, because you're getting into emulation. And because of that, it's always nice to play with the original gamepad or something pretty close to it. So this is a perfect buy for $12. So you've got a classic gamepad. I have no idea what that says. 8 buttons. Obviously, it's got a little picture of, you know, the USB, and that's all of it on the inside. Windows 10. All right. Windows 8's got a little QR code. Windows 7's got the number 8. USB. Vista XP. Windows 2000. Thank God it can use Windows 2000, because that is what I'm running. Windows ME. It's very colorful. You got blue on this side, you got green on that side, you got yellow here on the bottom. And on the back, I can't read most of it because it's in a different language. But it basically says the same stuff. You know, what operating systems it uses. It's got some buttons and all that good stuff. So let's unbox it. Really, really good if you're into emulation. You know, you don't have an Super Nintendo, or you don't have an Atari 2600. You know, they're collector's items, but with emulation nowadays, you can easily go online and download the game, and all of a sudden you're playing those same classic games that you would back in your childhood. And it's just wonderful to have. You know, you can obviously use an Xbox controller, your keyboard, or other things like that, but it's always nice to actually have the original controller in hand. And Buffalo is a really, really trusted name. This one specifically has thousands of reviews compared to, you know, 10 or 20 or 30 from other brands. So Buffalo is really the sort of #1 name in USB controllers. And I can't read any of this. So if you can, good luck. I can't read it. Same with this side. Still in a language I cannot read. Let's see if it focuses on that. I got a fan going in here. Yep, can't read that. I can read that right there. 86886.jp. Anyway, so the instructions aren't too much help, weirdly, but it's really, really simple. I mean, this is a USB controller. It's has a very basic driver as a USB HID device, which is a human interface device on your computer, very similar to a mouse or a keyboard or other things like that. If the human interfaces with something that's being plugged into the computer, like this controller, it's considered an HID, and it's a very basic driver. This is a little bit lighter weight than the actual SNES gamepad. It does look a little bit different. It's got all your buttons and everything. You got turbo and clear and other things like that, and that can be programmed accordingly. I feel like it's a little bit thicker in terms of depth. I might be wrong. I haven't held a SNES controller in a long time. But you got your L and R buttons up here, and they're nice, and sort of, they're kind of anchored here towards the, you know, cord here. So like if you're pushing it down right here towards the end here, you're not going to get too much actuation, so you're going to want to hit the L and R buttons over here in the middle, or sort of ideally right where it has the letter L and R, and that'll give you kind of the best feedback, tactile feedback. D-pad feels nice. That's pretty standard stuff. Start and select buttons feel exactly like they would. They are rubberized. Here, these are the only rubberized buttons that you'll have. Everything else is plastic. This is a nice glossy feel, so you can kind of glide over these buttons pretty easily. There's a little bit of texture to the D-pad and a little bit of texture to the turbo and clear button as well. It is a, I think not 3 meter cable. I think it's like 6.2 feet is the cable. This does work for Windows operating systems, but I was able to get it to work on Linux and Macs. You can use that there as well. And in terms of drivers, there's really not any driver. It's a very generic driver, like I had mentioned earlier, because in your emulation software, 99% of the time, you'll have to program the controller anyway. So, for example, if I start Higan is a emulation software, and I start playing Super Mario Kaizo, which is what I'm going to use this controller for, I will have to, once I start the game, it'll say, what's the A button? That's the A button. What's the B button? What's the X button? What's left, down, up, right? And it'll recognize that as you program this and go along, and then it'll get used to this controller, and you'll be good right out of the box. Very few games actually have compatibility, or very few emulators and other things like that have compatibility with this right out of the box. It is good if you're playing Steam games. I know there's a lot of people that play Rocket League and other indie Steam games with this. I've been playing Hyper Light Drifter with this really awesome Steam game, and that generally has native support for that, but you may have to, once again, go in and program this controller to be familiar with that game, so that, you know, when you push the up button, it actually moves the character forward. If you hit A, it actually makes the character jump or do something else, rather than, you know, if you don't wind up programming it that way, you might have some issues down the road. So back's pretty easy. It's got a serial number, made in China. Weirdly, it's made in China. And then you've got some, you know, little screw holes here, so you could probably service this, you know, if you're tech savvy enough to get in there and, you know, do some soldering and other things like that to repair this. So I haven't seen any mods yet for this. Really not too much of a need to mod these. If you wanted to add an extra button or something like that, I'm sure you could. There's probably space in here to be able to do so, but, you know, for $12 you can probably just buy another one rather than tearing this apart to mod it. So not much else than that. Amazon right now, it goes for $12.39. No free shipping, unless you're a Prime member, then you do get free shipping. It has 1,357 reviews. It's got tons of questions and everything there. The next most popular game controller has 400 reviews. So this has, you know, almost more than four times as many reviews than the next most popular controller. There are some cheaper ones out there. There's one for $8. There's one for $6. There's one for $9. This is actually probably more of one of the more expensive ones, but a lot more durable, just not like absurdly cheap. You know, the cable's pretty nice. It's not obviously anti-tangle, but it's fine. It's not a gold-plated connection, but, you know, whatever. Just pretty standard, you know, USB connection. It's probably the most generic USB connection that you can get on the face of the earth. The cable's fine. It's not too terribly cheap. It doesn't feel cheap, which is what's important. And then the Amazon page basically says the same thing. They really don't have like a website for Buffalo. They kind of just direct you to their Amazon page, and that's fine. It doesn't get too simple than this. You plug it in and you get it familiarized with your game one time, and that's about it. So it's really, really nice. I hope you guys appreciate the review. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Comments, questions, let me know if I missed something. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you made it to the end of this video, let me know, because I want to make sure, I want to get an idea of how many people actually make it to the end of this video and watch the whole thing, rather than like the first 30 seconds and then get tired of the sound of my voice. So let me know. Thanks for hanging around, guys, and we will see you in the next one.